guys, welcome back to the Comic Book Lowdown. I'm Wellington, and today I'm bringing you guys episode 4 of the FDCR. I know I got a lot less hair since my last video. Got a haircut, had really needed one. But today I decided to change things up on the FDCR, and instead of just reviewing one digital comic that I got for free, now I'm going to be reviewing 3 digital comics that I get for free from Marvel, DC, or Comixology, or whatever. So starting today, I'm going to be doing 3 comic reviews instead of just one comic. And to start off, I'm going to be on the Marvel side reviewing Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue 5, written by Peter David and penciled by Mike Wieringo. Can't really say that. It's either Wieringo or Wieringo. But just this issue, I really liked it. I definitely like the concept of it. It doesn't follow Spider-Man, doesn't follow Peter at all. It actually follows this character named Vanna through her whole life, from high school to when she's an old woman, and her parents are really messed up. They're always fighting and all that kind of stuff, and she's writing a blog on the internet for her whole life, just always writing a blog, and this is what we follow throughout her life, is her blog. And but we get she's always complaining about something. She's kind of the popular girl that seems to get her way all the time at school, but her parents are really bad, so she doesn't have the most stable life. So you can definitely have some sympathy there. But she decides to take out all her misfortunes and all this kind of other stuff. She decides to take it all on Spider-Man because she's run into Spider-Man a couple times. Not even run into, but she's been in the area where Spider-Man has been, and where Spider-Man's fighting off enemies. He fights off guys like the Rhino and the Vulture and well, now I can't even remember who else, but he's fighting off his rogues gallery at these times, and she just so happens to be there. And it's kind of funny how the things progress throughout this issue, where at one point when she's an adult, she's getting to the point where she actually files a restraining order against Spider-Man. She takes it to court, and the judge signs the restraining order just to make her feel happy as she walks out the courtroom, because chances are, she's not going to see Spider-Man again, and they even mention it later in the issue that her running into Spider-Man as many times as she did was just miraculous, since it's New York and it's there's a lot of people. So, she was actually pretty lucky to have seen Spider-Man so many times. But but she's a very bitter woman throughout this whole issue, and then by the end, she's an old lady. She's sitting on a park bench. She's like feeding pigeons. She's the pigeon lady, and an old woman walks up to her and starts talking like down to her, really, and she's talking down to her, and she's saying like, I know who you are, and you've accomplished nothing in your life, and you've amounted to nothing. You're left with no family, no friends, and no life, no accomplishments. And while this woman is saying all this, Vanna's trying to defend herself by saying, my parents were bad, or had a bad childhood, or anything like this. But this woman just keeps on bringing up this point, and then she brings up the point that she happens to be Spider-Man's widow. And so we don't actually know if this is Mary Jane or not, so it's just Spider-Man's widow. And at the end of this story, Spider-Man dies, or you don't see him die, but he's dead, and the reports are that he's died. And this woman, Spider-Man's widow, she hands Vanna the ripped up and bloodied Spider-Man mask, and she just tells her, like, now that he's dead, I bet you feel good about yourself now. I bet you feel, like, secure. And Vanna's like, well, I suppose so, because Spider-Man's been stalking me my whole life, and this his widow just points out, like, again, she points out that she was lucky to have seen Spider-Man so many times, and that no matter what, if he was fighting somebody in that area that she happened to be in, he was not gonna stop fighting because of a restraining order or anything like that. And she pretty much just like degrades Vanna to the point where Vanna finally admits that she misses Spider-Man because Spider-Man actually made her feel good, feel as if somebody was admiring her or looking at her again. And because she always felt like Spider-Man was watching her, and now that he's gone, she feels like nobody is looking at her anymore or interested at all. And then we leave off, she's still writing her blog in her old age, and she just leaves off saying nothing important happened today. And that kind of wraps up what her life has been about, just nothing important happening. And Peter David really writes a well-written story on just a random character that he really gives a good feeling for the character in this. And I definitely love this issue of It's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue 5. Probably one of my favorite Spider-Man stories I've read. It's got a lot of substance to it, and it's not based on Spider-Man, which is very interesting. But that's my view on that. Next issue I got, and we're actually finally moving away from Marvel, and we're going into DC land, and I got a really good one in the spirit of the Bat. I have Detective Comics issue 27 from 1939. And if you guys know comics history, this is the first appearance of Batman in Detective Comics. So this is Batman's first issue in Detective Comics. Of course, I don't have the physical copy, or I would have been down a couple million in my pocket right now. But I did get it for free online, and you guys can too. But anyways, it's just a six-page story, so it's just a simple thing, and his origin hasn't been out yet. This is literally his first appearance. I think it's his first appearance ever. So this is Batman, just as Batman, and this issue is shockingly adult. Like, it's very adult in concept, and it's very kind of creepy the way that they could get away with things like this. It starts out with Jim Gordon, or Commissioner Gordon as he is, and Bruce Wayne. They're friends and they're talking, and Gordon gets a call saying that this one, he's like a bigwig in a chemical company with 3 other partners, and this guy named Lambert, or Limbert, he was murdered. He was stabbed to death and murdered, and they think that the son was the murderer because the son's fingerprints were found on the knife. And that's a very serious subject, and Jim Gordon's like, okay, I'll be right there. And then he tells Bruce, he's like, oh, Bruce, I got a very exciting thing happening. You want to come with? Of course, Bruce Wayne is just the philanthropist, and you don't even know that in this issue. He's just a friend, who Bruce Wayne is, and in fact, actually, you don't even know that Bruce Wayne is Batman until the end of this issue. Just throwing that out there, just thought about that. But anyways, Bruce Wayne just tags along to the murder scene, and they're just having like a good laugh about it, and this guy is dead. And it's kind of weird how it's handled, and it's definitely kind of shocking for 1939, but I guess there was no real type of regulation going on, I guess. But I really like this story as well. It follows, like I said, there's the chemical partners, and Limbert was one of them, and his other partners are a guy named Steve Crane, a guy named can't remember his first name, Rogers, and then another guy named Stryker. And so one by one these guys are getting picked off. So first Limbert was killed, then who was the next? Crane was shot and killed, and when he was shot and killed, Batman came onto the scene and he beat up the killers, and he found that there's a contract that the killers were stealing, and the contract was something that made it so one partner would have to pay the other partners, so one day that partner would seize a majority of control over the chemical company. So for whatever reason, these killers are now killing and then stealing these contracts from these guys' safes. And so Rogers, scared, he visits Stryker because, they're the last two left. And it turns out that Stryker and his assistant, like his butler, they've been planning it the whole time so they could take over the company without having to pay the money to the other guys. So they're just going to kill them off. And it's kind of weird how it's very violent for such an early comic, and but it's quite good. I definitely recommend it. Again, you could get them for free, and yeah, the way that this story ends, it's pretty good. You find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and it's just very interesting the way that comics were written back then. That the way comics were written back then reflects very closely to the way comics are written now. Then you have the time in between with the 50s and the Comics Code and all that kind of stuff where things were, very campy. They were camped down until, the 80s where things started picking up seriously again, and now you have the modern time. But the modern time actually reflects a little bit more of the early comics from the 30s and 40s than it does from the 60s and 70s and definitely the 50s. But anyways, again, Detective Comics issue 27, very good issue. I suggest just reading it because it is the first appearance of Batman. It's written by Bill Finger, art by Bob Kane. So definitely read it. It's free. Get it online. It's awesome. And it's short, so it's not going to take up any time in your day at all. But anyways, getting into my last comic, and I have, I don't know what company published this. I think it's independent, and it's Sullivan's Sluggers. It's written by Mark Andrew Smith and art by James Stoke. And this follows a baseball team. The coach's name is Casey Sullivan, and this baseball team is filled with has-beens, guys that were once great in the major leagues and then just washed out. For example, the coach, Casey Sullivan, we start off and they're in the whole team is in that guy's hometown, and everybody's just making fun of Sullivan because he dropped a ball in the World Series, in the 76 World Series, and it lost their team the World Series. So now that guy is Sullivan is shamed upon in all of the community, and now he's just coaching this minor league team of just has-beens and washouts. And I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball, and so I definitely enjoyed this story. The art is pretty clear, but very crude in the drawings. It's very exaggerated, and it's very funny, actually. I really love this issue. This is the first issue of it, and it just follows this baseball team of just ragtime players that the only player that is not a wash-up is this young kid named Duncan who has the potential to actually go to the major leagues and, live out his days playing top-notch baseball, but instead right now he's just traveling around with this washed-up team and a tore-down bus and all this kind of stuff, and they're getting into bar fights, and guys are like sneaking off and drinking and getting drunk, and everything is very it's not for kids, definitely. There's a lot of language in it, and but it's very funny, I think, especially if you like baseball. The coach mentions the reason he dropped the ball in 76 World Series was because somebody put Vaseline in his glove, and he's like, it was a bad glove. And if you know baseball players, they're always complaining about something when once they make an error about something, it's always the glove. It's always the glove, and like they always blame the glove, or it's too stiff, or it tipped off my glove, or whatever. They never blame themselves. I'm guilty of it myself. You always gotta blame the glove, and so that's what the coach does. So I definitely think that Smith, the writer, definitely did a good job in portraying that. It's just really funny to see it in writing and in graphically. And then the team goes to this city. They're gonna go play a game, and blocking the city is a big sign that says "Turn around, damnation inside." And there's cars piled, so you can't go into the city. And the coach is like, "Oh, it's a joke, guys. Push the car off." And so they move the car, and one of the players sees there's these bodies that are hanging from trees, and they're dead. But one of them's talking, and the one talking is saying, "Turn around," and actually yells, "Turn around," and then they just disappear, and he's the only one who's seen them. So naturally, the team goes into the city. They go off to play their game. Some of the guys sneak off, and they, get into all kind of things. And but they eventually get to the game, and there's a scout there, and all this kind of stuff, and they're playing ball. And then it gets to the 7th inning, and the sun goes down, and all of a sudden, some of the players on the opposing team start turning into monsters, and that's how we end this issue. So I really want to see what happens next, because I really enjoyed it. I just think it's a fun comic. Also, I really love baseball, and it's a really funny concept that's going on. I want to get my hands on the 2nd issue and further issues on this, because I really liked it. And if you like baseball, or just sports, comics, or whatever, I definitely suggest giving this a try, because this is definitely something good to read. But anyways, that's my review for my FDCR this week. I'm Wellington, signing off with a comic book lowdown, and I'll see you guys next time.